hello. I'm trying to get my hello in because Janae usually starts with a hello. Hello.
I always do. It's just fun. You get to address everyone. I don't know.
True. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
We're back.
And this week we've got kind of a fun topic, something that like we see a lot just because Toronto is a big filming location.
Yes, and it's almost never about Toronto. It's almost always pretending to be something else.
Yes. The issue is it's clearly Toronto, but we see it and they're playing it off as New York. That is the issue.
New York or other U.S. cities.
Yeah. We've got a couple other tidbits in there too, but that's kind of the biggest thing we're going to talk about today.
Yes.
On the pod.
Yeah.
What's the pod called again?
What's our pod called again?
We are
the Quality Control Chicks.
That's
right.
Right. I guess it should probably
Thanks for
start
queuing
with
that up. Yeah. It's your fault if you listen out of order. But not that our podcast has to be listened to in order, except the Scream episodes, which I guess you could listen to backwards if you really want to.
Yeah.
But that would be silly.
Yeah. My brain is a little scrambled today, guys. I'm sorry.
Whose isn't? The world kind of gets you down sometimes, but then you can listen to a podcast like this and we can escape it by talking about something else, and you can escape it by listening.
Yeah. Escape is good.
Mm-hmm. Escape is needed. Escape to other cities that are actually Toronto. I'm trying to tie it back in. I don't know.
That was pretty good.
Thanks. Yeah, my segues don't always work. I feel like that one landed a little bit.
That was pretty good.
Before we get into today's topic, though, have you watched anything fun recently?
Honestly, I haven't. Well, I did watch. I have watched like a couple things, but they're nothing that like I noticed anything. Like nothing with like big issues. Mm-hmm. But I saw How to Train Your Dragon in theaters last week.
How was that?
Honestly, it was a really good adaptation. I went into it with really low expectations because I'm like, did we really need a live action of this? Like, I just went because like my sister really wanted to go and I was interested. But I'm like, I'm not going to get my hopes up. But honestly, like they did a really good job. I thought so.
It's good.
They kind of added some new things, but still kept that like heart that the animation has.
I think it was the same director, wasn't it? I feel like that's a lot of...
Yeah, I saw like a post that he said, he's like, I am going to pitch myself to direct this because I don't want someone else to take it and not do it right. He's like, if this has to be a live action, if the world wants this to be a live action, then I need to be the one to direct it. And I'm like, I have so much respect for that because I'm like, yeah, like, I'm glad you did it because I'm sure if it went into someone else's hands, it wouldn't be so good.
Yeah, and I also heard it was his first time directing live action too, which is interesting. I don't know if I'll personally ever watch it. I've never really... No, I've seen the original.
Oh, okay.
But like, it's definitely not
as much your thing.
No.
That's fair. I love it. Like, I think the story and I love the music. The music is so good. And they got the same composer back and they added more to it.
Yeah.
Like I guess he had like already written like a ton more for the animation that like he kind of called back on and stuff like that. So it was cool. I thought it was very well done. Yeah. I thought the scene with the flying was really cool. I think everyone was waiting for that to see how that would play out. And as we talk about on the pod, sometimes like you can tell like if CG backgrounds are like if you can tell and stuff. And honestly, like it was pretty seamless.
Wow.
Like I know they did shoot some things on location. Obviously, like you don't have like the dragons. You're not flying.
They didn't have the actual actors and dragons on location. Ugh, budget cuts everywhere.
Yeah. But they did shoot some of the like scenes where they're walking around like on location. They were beautiful. It was that was good.
Speaking of beautiful, we also saw The Life of Chuck.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That was. I mean, it's out now, but we saw an advanced screening of it and
cried.
Yeah.
I cried 2 times.
Was that bad, eh?
Yeah. You know, when a movie's just so bad, you want to cry because you wasted your time on it? No, I'm kidding.
No, because it was just so beautiful.
It was really good. I didn't know what to expect. I knew it was one of Stephen King's non-horror stories, but I didn't really know too much about it. I think I clued in about halfway through, like, the first chapter, what was probably happening. But it still doesn't really prepare you for all the, like, twists and turns of the rest of the story, so.
Yeah. I think the message of it was really good. I would say, like, the beginning of the movie was very strong.
Yes,
like,
it was.
Really, really strong. And then I thought the middle part was lacking a little bit.
It was a little too long.
Yeah. It's hard to, like, talk about it without spoiling it because it's such a, like,
I know.
movie.
Well,
you
it's out now, so we can lightly, not spoil, but I feel like we can talk about non-spoilery things in a little bit more detail because not like we could get in trouble.
Yeah,
it's in theaters. So, and this is going to come out, like, you know, we're a week. It's almost been in theaters for a week when we're recording this. So by the time this comes out, it'll be like almost 2 weeks probably. Yeah.
Well, I'll say this then. I would say, so the kind of first act of the movie I thought was the strongest, but I also think it's just because, like, what happens in it is so intense and kind of, like, really talks to what's going on in the world now.
Yes.
That, like, it affected me a lot. Like, I just remember there was the one scene that I literally gasped because I was like, this is intense.
Yeah.
This is scary. And then the rest of the movie's so beautiful and you're like, what?
Yeah.
But I mean, I loved it. It took me on a roller coaster of emotions.
Definitely. And the acting was all great. So many, like, little cameos of people too. I wish Matthew Lillard had been in more of the movie, but I understand why he's only in the beginning because of the way the story's told. But that's not a spoiler. It's just it's told in chapters, and his story's only told in the first one. So,
too bad.
Yeah,
love him.
He was great though.
Yeah,
he was one of my favorite bits. I was like, I know you're here probably only for a short time, but I enjoy all of your screen time.
Yeah.
I will say though, the poster. I like the poster.
Oh, right.
But as I was pointing out to you, Karen Gillan's name is on the poster. Her face isn't on the poster, but a lot of other actors who are not billed as cast are, which I thought was a little strange.
Yeah, I thought it was weird.
Because the other redheaded actress who's in, like, albeit more of the movie, but she's not credited on the poster, is there because she's the main aspect of, like, the middle portion of the film. And it's like 3 stages of Chuck with people's faces in his glasses. So there's 6 different glass panes that have other actors' faces on them in glass lenses. And the one that you would think would have Karen Gillan has, I'm going to say his name wrong, Chiwetel Ejiofor? Chiwetel Ejiofor. From
Fiananis?
Exactly. From 12 Years a Slave and other films.
I know I'm trying to remember the poster right now. I think, is there just one kind of person in each?
No, there's multiple.
So if there isn't, then I'm surprised they didn't put her in.
Because the second figure in that glass lens that could have been Karen Gillan is the, like, poster of Chuck that we see everywhere in the first act.
Right.
That appears in all the windows.
Which to me is a bit of a spoiler.
A little bit, yeah. Like, if you, even without context, but it's just like, you could have put Karen there because we still see Chuck in the poster 3 times.
Yeah.
Maybe even in the middle one too.
Yeah, that was an odd...
it's an odd choice. Because she's very much, she's in it as much as Chiwetel Ejiofor is.
Yeah. Yeah, she was really good too. Yeah, she was really, really good in the film. Well, anyway, thanks, Chuck.
Oh, yeah,
for 39 great years.
39 great years. Speaking of posters.
Yes.
That segue worked out pretty well, actually. I wasn't planning that, but 2 poster mistakes have come up since we last talked about physical media mistakes, which was the episode we talked about before this one. Go listen to that if you want to hear more. But as many of you probably know, the Naked Gun series? There were just 2, right?
Yeah.
Original ones with Leslie Nielsen, right?
Yeah.
Am I getting his name wrong? Because Liam Neeson, Leslie Nielsen. I'm gonna fuck that up.
Gosh, I'm sorry.
I bet they did that on purpose, though.
Do you think they did that on purpose?
Probably. He's not known to be a comedic actor, Liam Neeson, so.
That's actually crazy.
You learn something new every day. Anyway, the poster was released this week, I think.
Yeah. For this kind of reboot.
Mm-hmm. It's him and Pamela Anderson, and he's standing there wearing a suit, holding a gun, which they didn't get rid of, so at least he wasn't Nick Caged.
I mean, if you got a movie called The Naked Gun, I would be shocked if they removed the gun.
I'm just surprised someone in the poster is not naked.
Wow.
And they have Pamela Anderson sort of like, side clinging to him with her like leg up seductively and whatnot. And then a bunch of too many hands and arms also hugging and grabbing at Liam Neeson, because you have to really, bring home that this is a comedy action movie. Although most people, I think, know the original Naked Gun and its premises.
In the photo, he's got a couple of his own hands in there, too.
He's got more than a couple.
One of his is... the one touching her leg is in a very interesting place as well.
Mm-hmm. Very suggestive.
With this many hands, things are going to get messy. Mm-hmm. And clearly in the image that they created, I don't know if they just decided to move one of the hands a little bit and didn't fully.
I think they should have just committed and given him an extra finger.
Maybe that was what they were doing, because there is just a floating fingertip.
Just the tip.
Just the tip right near the gun.
Yep.
If you're looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting thing is, I remember I sent this to you and I was like, look at this floating finger. Like, that doesn't look right. And I remember you were like, I don't know. It seems like it could be on purpose because, right, there's so many hands. There's so much,
there's so
chaos.
Many hands, but also it's the Naked Gun. I wouldn't be surprised if they left in a mistake like that because it's funny.
I guess.
But they fixed it.
I see what you mean.
They fixed it, though. So clearly someone made a mistake. They High School Musical 2'd it, is what they did. Listen to our previous podcast to get that reference.
Yes, they did High School Musical 2 it.
But that's crazy. Like, and it was less than 24 hours later that I started seeing, like, other places. Why is my voice so, like... It was, like, less than 24 hours when I started seeing people posting, like, a new version of it without that there.
Yeah.
So somebody noticed, was like, oh, well, we can't tell everyone, because it was like major, film pages that had already posted it, like IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes and stuff. So it's like, oh, we can't ask them to pull it. Mm-hmm, so there's 2 versions floating around out there. Just like, this is the poster to make that kind of mistake on, because it just so works with like the vibe of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But...
Yeah, it was definitely a mistake.
I wish
they didn't leave it. They removed it. So clearly a mistake.
Way to tell us that, it wasn't supposed to be there. It could have just left it.
Yeah.
Or could have put the finger back in.
It is interesting, though, because, like, as we were talking about last week, like, posters are becoming, like, a huge part of, like, to immediately let people know about a movie and to market it. And so people are always looking at, like, fine details in posters now. Like, they are really observing.
I think it really kind of started with, like, the MCU whole, like, looking for Easter eggs kind of thing. And so now people really pay attention to, like, posters and trailers and stuff for every little kind of hidden thing. And there's a lot to see here because you're looking for all the hands. So your eye is going to go to every single hand to go, what's that one doing? What's that one doing?
Exactly.
So, oh, I have one quick thing to say about physical media. I went into a store near us that has VHSs just to see. Like, there's usually like a very small section of the store. And I saw a Blockbuster version of the original Halloween movie. For $40.
Holy.
We have that Halloween Blockbuster VHS. Pretty sure I got it for under 10 somewhere else in pretty good condition. So as much as I'm an advocate for physical media, that's wild. Unless it's like I guess maybe Blockbuster, maybe that's more rare. to find than like a non-video store. But like, that blew my mind. I was like, no way did we pay that much for that. That's wild.
You make a good point, though, because it probably is Blockbuster. Because, like, Blockbuster just has this, like, you know.
But the box itself, like, has in the design on it a strip on the side that says, like, Blockbuster Edition.
Yeah, so it's like that nostalgia. It's calling to the nostalgia of Blockbuster. So, like, maybe people are like, oh, that's worth even more because there are no more Blockbusters. So it's like harder to get or something.
I don't remember where I got this one from, but I'm lucky they didn't charge us an arm and a leg for it.
Yeah.
Maybe that means physical media is becoming more of a thing. I know Niall, shout out to Niall for listening. He messaged us the other day on the pod Instagram saying that we've gotten him into buying physical media.
Oh, nice.
So shout out.
Cool.
Don't spend $40 on a Halloween VHS, please. But that's insane. You can definitely find them for cheaper.
Yeah.
It's nice that people are like doing it again. I feel like, not to say I got ahead of the curve, but it's just like, it's unfortunate that might start getting more expensive now because it's definitely a relatively cheap hobby. Most of the ones I get are under $10, unless it's something I really, really want.
Yeah, you just got to go to those small towns.
You do.
And that's where you'll find them for very, very cheap.
One-of-a-kind Woodstock Mall, the 3-level one, they have a huge VHS section.
Oh, yeah.
Prices do vary, but usually they're pretty good price. Like anywhere from like $5 to $10 for like really rare or secret ones. So...
yeah. So today we're going to talk about filming locations.
Yes.
And essentially how you can obviously tell it's not the location that it's supposed to be.
Yes.
And most of the time that is New York.
Yeah, we gave a little taste of this when we were talking about Scream 6 and how they shot in Montreal for New York and how it really there was nothing about it that screamed Montreal, and albeit we don't live in New York, but there was no reason for it to be set in New York. Mm-hmm. There was nothing that screamed, oh, wow, look, they're in New York.
Yeah.
So it was like, they obviously shot in Montreal to save budget. That's why most people shoot in Canadian cities. A lot of popular TV shows are shot in Vancouver or BC in general, like Yellow Jackets.
Yeah.
A lot of CW shows back in the day were shot in and around BC. And a lot of bigger budget movies tend to be shot like out here in Toronto or like the surrounding GTA area. So
yeah, essentially it all comes down to like tax credits, stuff like that. It's just cheaper to shoot in Toronto, so a lot of people will do that and then just fake it to be somewhere else.
Like they'll send a small, like what we call like a skeleton crew, which just means is like as bare bones amount of people as you could possibly need to go shoot something on a low budget to get like establishers maybe in the actual city. But then the primary shooting or filming takes place like somewhere way cheaper to actually bring the cast and crew out for a long period of time.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and unfortunately the issue with that is sometimes they're not successful.
No, and it's, being in the film industry and living in Toronto where you see people filming stuff constantly, and then you kind of sometimes make a mental note for when it comes out and you're like, oh yeah, and then you're like watching it and you're like, huh, well, I know that exact intersection because I used to take transit there every day or something like that. So it makes us wonder how obvious it is to someone who lives in the city it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And whether or not, maybe they don't know it's Toronto, but maybe they know it's not New York.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, right? Like, we're like, that's obviously Toronto.
Yes.
But I think even more so, I think when you're trying to play it off as New York, the issue is like, a New Yorker is immediately like, that's not New York.
Yeah.
I can't believe you're trying to play that off as New York. That's not New York. Like, we're the greatest city in the world, even though we think
Toronto's obviously the greatest city in the world. I don't know what you're talking about.
I will say I did love New York when I went. I finally went for the first time like a year ago. And a bit ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I understand why a lot of movies and TV shows want to have their setting be New York because it's, it's booming. There's so much life. It's like the most talked about city. Like
it's a big recognizable city to even people who don't live in the US or have never been there.
Yeah. There's kind of this like glamour to it that like if your show is based in New York or your characters are based in New York, there is this like, it makes it more like interesting to people, I guess.
Or if there's some kind of disaster, it's higher stakes because they're like, oh my God, it's New York. It's happening in New York.
Exactly, yeah. But it's funny because sometimes I'm like, but Toronto's just as great. Like, why don't you just say it's Toronto when you're clearly shooting in Toronto?
The one time I went to New York with my mom, I remember so clearly. We were in a cab and I'd already moved here for school. And I made some kind of like offhand comment of like, oh yeah, I mean like Toronto's kind of like New York. And he got so offended, was like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
I've been there. It's nothing like New York. And I'm like, it's actually very similar, but okay.
Very true. Very true. Well, our first example is one of our favorite shows, The Boys.
The Boys.
You're all fucking welcome.
And as everybody knows, they shoot in Toronto. They always have.
At time of recording this, they're shooting the last season right now in Toronto, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
sad.
It is one of those things where I'm like, because we're Torontonians, I'm like, The Boys is shot in Toronto. Like, I'm so proud of it because it's like, it's so cool. Like, it's my favorite show. And I'm like, they shoot here. Like, and you point out, like, that's what we do. We point out these locations. And like, the most notorious one is in the first episode.
It is. Yeah, this is the first episode. And what I think is, what makes me laugh about it is that living in Toronto, you're filming in the most Toronto part of Toronto and trying to make it look like the most New York part of New York.
Yes.
And the transition is not as smooth as I think they were hoping it was. And rewatching it, it's like, oh, I can tell you the frame where that stops being Toronto and then starts being New York for like a pan up and then comes back and starts being Toronto again.
Yes.
Because they didn't remove the street signs. It still says Yonge and Dundas. You can pinpoint the exact like buildings that are, you know, like the H&M of the Eaton Center and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's just to someone who lives in New York, it's like Times Square is such an iconic tourist destination. Like if you've been to New York, you've been to Times Square. Even if you're just in a cab, you've been there.
And honestly, even prior to having gone to New York for my first time, I feel like not even having to go, I know what Times Square looks like.
Because it's in every movie. Because the thing is, if you're shooting, I guess, aside from The Boys, if you're shooting something for New York, typically that is the location that you do actually go to New York to shoot in. There's so many things that, like, they'll shoot primarily, like, on a soundstage or in a smaller U.S. city or in Toronto, but they'll go shoot on location for a couple of things to sort of, like, really set that this is... we're shooting in New York.
Yeah.
And then they just don't shoot in the big, like, New York flashy locations again. They do it once to drive it home, and then they don't do it again.
Yeah.
But The Boys didn't do that. They shot in the middle of downtown Toronto and panned up to make it look like Times Square, and then panned back down to downtown Toronto.
We're going to leave, you know, the Jack Astor's is there. We're going to leave... you know, as you said, the H&M, like the mall, the Eaton Center Mall, which is like the biggest mall for Toronto.
But it's really just funny because it literally is half and half. Like the bottom part of the pan is Toronto and the top part is New York, and you didn't really do a lot to blend that.
Yeah. Well, that's not the only time they did this, like, bottom half Toronto and then this, you know. The other part of the show is like the... Vought Tower, which is where the main superheroes do their work out
headquarters.
Yeah. So the bottom half of it is a pretty well-known building.
Right, Thompson Hall.
Like everybody, if you're going downtown, like you know this building. It's very cool, very unique architecture.
It's like a performance building. So it's also very like heavily visited during like TIFF, like the Toronto International Film Festival. That's right where the hub of a lot of those screenings at theaters are. It's not Yonge and Dundas, but along with like Kensington Market, it's a very like heavily foot trafficked, like, you know, there's any big play that's in Toronto is happening at like the Princess of Wales, which is across the street. So you get a lot of tourists in and around that area. So people know that building.
Yeah, like in terms of if you're trying to hide something to not be obviously Toronto, they picked the most well-known places in Toronto. So it's very obviously like, but I will say I do love the way they did it because they like took the bottom of the building and then they just like extended it
which
really,
you know
really
what?
high.
It kind of looks like it should be extended. Like that, I like that they did that too. I agree because I feel like I wish it kind of was that.
Yeah.
Because the inside, like I've been in Roy Thomson Hall many times. Looking out in it too, it's just like, it's so cool. And I would love to see what that would look like higher. And you do kind of in the show. Obviously, they look out on New York through the windows of like the tall part of the towers. But it's cool to just even think about what that structure would look like if they extended it more. But
that is definitely the kind of the coolest design I would say in the voice show. I agree. The way they designed that.
Yeah.
But it's just funny because we all very recognize the bottom part as Roy Thomson.
It used to be on my daily commute to work. And I've been to TIFF pretty much every year since I moved to Toronto. So I was going there and being heavily around that area like before I knew what the show was. So it's cool to every time I'm in that building since or like going past it, I'll text like Jack being like, I just passed Bot.
Bot Tower. Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah, and I feel like this is the one that is kind of probably the most clever because it's not like people from Toronto know it's Roy Thomson Hall, but it's not like it's pretending to be an existing building in New York. So it's a little more believable if you don't know that it's, you know, extending on a well-known Toronto building. They're not going to be like, oh, well, that doesn't look like X building in New York. It's like, well, no, because it's not supposed to be. It's like Avengers Tower isn't actually where it is either, you know? So, and obviously the interiors of the building that don't exist are shot on sound stages.
Yeah.
But one I wanted to talk about too, because there's an example of one in here where it's just like, lol, you can see the CN Tower. That's kind of whatever. I mean, that's going to happen. But the one in episode 3, I really wanted to make sure we talked about because the three of us, being like me, Jack, and Janae, also Harrison, everyone's sort of remotely involved in this podcast. We're big beer drinkers.
Oh, yeah.
You'll usually see us drinking some kind of drink. Right now I've got...
I feel shameful because I'm actually not drinking a beer today.
Ooh, that is a Toronto... That is Canadian, though, Dylan. So,
yeah.
I've got Side Launch. Also good to drink local now while we don't have any American alcohol in Canada, but let's not get too political. I wish I'd brought my other beer, actually. That was I had a Henderson beer in my fridge.
Oops.
And I decided to bring Side Launch.
Missed opportunity. Yeah.
Fuck.
In this scene...
A-Train is racing Shockwave on a track in front of like a crowd. There's advertisements for Henderson Brewery, which is a local Toronto brewery. And what they've done, I think, is very interesting because you can see advertisements for the brewery in and around the stadium, but they've actually put A-Train in the brewery advertisement.
Yeah, he's like holding a beer.
He's holding a Henderson beer. Which is just, it's a fun little like nod to the city. Because if you notice it, I remember noticing this when we first watched it, when Jack and I started the show. I was like,
hey, Henderson!
I've been there. But they actually like, whether it was an intentional or they were like, oh shit, well, instead of getting rid of it, let's just put A-Train in it. Like, I don't know if it was a planned like fun little tidbit incorporation or if it was like, you know, last minute, like, well, fuck, let's just make it work and we'll put him in there because we can't possibly find when it's in every little bit of footage, which... You know, again, people in New York are going to be like, I've never heard of that brewery, but people here are going to be like, oh, I know that brewery. Oh, hey, I guess they're kind of like putting it in the world of the boys.
Yeah.
And just like making that work. So I think that's kind of like a fun one where it's like, you know what? We can't get rid of all traces of stuff that like
is Canadian. So we may as well just like make it an in-universe accepted beer that exists.
Yeah. But people who live here are going to know... Fuck, I'm so mad I didn't bring my Henderson's best. I love
feel like
Henderson.
We both should have been drinking Henderson for this.
Man, we put a lot of planning into this podcast, but we fucked that one up.
Oops. Well, we do love Henderson. We do love going to their beer fest.
Yeah, I don't know. We didn't go this year. I don't know. We just didn't hear about it or we missed it or something, but we've gone most years.
Yeah, I think they're doing like a different event. They're not doing like because usually they do like the big beer fest event. I don't think they did it.
They're doing a pickle fest. I like pickles. And I like Henderson.
Yeah.
And so does
like
A-Train.
I like pickles.
I like pickles.
There's a bit of this, like, I know that a lot of the people who are in the boys too are very proud of Canada as well.
Yeah, it's nice seeing on social media, or like I've been to a con. I forget. I think it was we have Fan Expo here, and we also have Comic-Con, and I always get mixed up because I've been to both.
Yeah.
I forget which one it was. But I went and I met Jack Quaid, I met Karen Fukuhara, and we went to their panel where they were just talking about the show in general, and like they have favorite spots around the city, or just like they like to shout out general things about Toronto, which is like, you know, some of it might be pandery, but they've also worked here for like so many years, right?
Yeah.
So you get used to like your surroundings, you develop those places that you like going, and it's just nice to hear as someone who lives here that it's like, oh, this city means a lot to people who just come here for work. We love it. We just also like to critique it, and that's part of the fun part of liking stuff as being in the industry is like you can like something but also nitpick and be interested in exactly how it all comes together. So but that's also a burden, and something you should know if you ever watch something with us is we will constantly be thinking about that while we're watching stuff.
I know. I try to not do it while I'm like watching something with Harrison. Like if something comes up, like I try not to like pick at everything or point out everything, but I will like sometimes just text you about something.
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm like, save it for the podcast, but also what did you see?
Yeah.
No, Jack and I are like that too. We're probably the worst because he also is involved with the podcast. So we'll be like, oh my God, this thing, and oh my God, this thing. Or we'll just be watching something true to each other and be like, wow, the ADR sucks.
Yeah, it's usually ADR that I notice, and it's bad.
Yeah, well, because
which will be an upcoming episode. We do plan on that.
Stay tuned. We'll have a lot more Jack in that one too.
Jack Cam.
Jack Cam. Bring back the Jack Cam.
Yeah.
No one's asking for it, but we'll bring it back anyway.
People are asking.
No one's out there.
People are asking. I'll do a poll.
Oh my God.
And we'll bring it back regardless, but I'll still put up a poll.
All right. So next example is from Kick-Ass.
Yes.
Which I need to rewatch this movie. It's been so long.
I own this movie, but I couldn't find the case to bring, and I thought bringing just the disc would be silly. So know that I do own it, but I felt as though it wouldn't be properly represented.
Yeah.
We'll get to Boy Meets World. But yeah, I love this movie. I don't love the second one, which was also shot in Toronto. The first one was, again, also shot here for New York. But there's one scene, I guess sort of later in the film where Kick-Ass sort of teams up with Red Mist, and Red Mist is like, look at my cool car. That's my McLovin.
That's great.
Thank you.
It's a good job.
Look at this cool car, Kick-Ass. That's a direct quote.
Good.
And they're driving around what's supposed to be downtown New York, which is just very much repeated B-roll footage of them driving by various parts of Toronto.
Yeah. There's like one shot in particular, King West, just on a big wall.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you know, that's very clearly
pretty Canadian. I mean, they've got like, they're driving through Yonge and Dundas, which we've already talked about, like very much isn't Times Square, has all the signs everywhere. They drive past a Canadian flag, a lot of Canadian businesses. But yeah, I think the most egregious one is the big King West on there, which I actually noticed myself when I was making this breakdown, because everyone was talking about the Yonge and Dundas shot. But then I was watching the clip through to the end, and I was like, hang on, there's a big King West thing on the building there. And like maybe there's a part of New York called King West. But
honestly, I don't even know if there is. Like,
they're not as
mostly New York, like the main part where they're trying to play off, where they're trying to play off that they are in New York, is very much supposed to be like right downtown New York, and like they're all numbered streets down there. You're not going to see. You're not going to see something like that. So it's just, it doesn't make sense. I think what's really funny, though, is because it's such a big wall, like, I'm shocked that they didn't just put
rid
some
of it.
mural there or something,
graffiti,
right?
or just paint it out or something.
Yeah. Because it's a big enough space. Like, they totally could have done that easily, I would say.
Even with the driving footage, like, I'll give them the shot that we have here, the still of the Canadian flag in the background, because one, you could argue it's an embassy building. Two, it is out of focus.
Yeah.
It's just, once you catch on that the footage is of Toronto, you're kind of like, okay, well, what else can I spot that's Canadian that's in the background here? And I've seen this movie many times.
Yeah.
So as I've said before on the podcast, repeat viewings is when I look for other stuff, because I'm like, you know, watch for things you've never noticed before. There's still movies I've seen multiple times that I find new stuff in when I'm watching it again.
Yeah.
And this is one of those movies.
Yeah, the thing about like driving shots, like that can be forgiving, is that everything's in motion and it's blurred usually outside the window. So like if you see something, your eye is not drawn to that.
No.
So it's more forgiving.
Yes.
However, the shot like kind of do like a forward like look, and it's so clearly along like Yonge Street, like you just know, and maybe that is because we're from Toronto, we just know it so well.
Yeah,
it's just so obviously Dundas and Yonge area.
We're not from Toronto. We live here.
I say I'm from Toronto now.
I don't, because people know the name of the city I'm from just as much as they know Toronto, usually. But
That's
you're
fair.
from a small town.
Yeah, a small town that no one would know.
I'm not from Toronto. I've just lived here for most of my adult life.
Fair. But we're still Torontonians.
We are Torontonians. That is true. I do say that.
Yes.
I say I'm from Ottawa, but I'm a Torontonian.
Yeah. To clarify.
But also what I think, to go back to the driving shots, though, that's something you can so easily just take footage from somewhere else. Like, someone probably went out and filmed that for them to comp it in after, because they're driving on a green screen. You know what I mean? Like, they're not actually driving around the city.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about, right? Like, because sometimes, so some of the things they do with when you get driving shots is sometimes you can use like, well, there's multiple ways you could do it. One is a big screen that goes in behind a car.
VR.
Yeah, LED.
Which wasn't really a thing when they shot this. Not as developed anyway.
But that's one way you can do it. Another way is with green screen, where you just light and put green screen all around the car so that you can later comp in whatever you want, really.
Which is the classical way of doing this kind of scene, because you can't legally have actors driving and distracted by doing, rehearsed dialogue or anything like that, unless there's some kind of driving assist.
Well, that's what I was going to say, was the last example is when there is a car that's actually pulling the car that the actors are in.
Yes.
And that is one of the kind of best ways to get like a good visual outside of the car, because it's real. You're technically on location. You're seeing real lighting, real location, and it's usually the best way to do it. Yeah. But it costs a lot more money.
It costs a lot more money.
You have to hire that person and the car to pull it.
Yes, and you're doing it on busy streets of a huge city that has a lot of people around. You can shut down areas of streets to film stuff. Like, I saw part of Suicide Squad, not the Suicide Squad, Suicide Squad being filmed here when we were in college at Yonge and Dundas, which again is another one of those movies that if you watch that scene back, you can tell it's Yonge and Dundas. But the pink car that was driving, and I think we saw Batman hovering around somewhere too. I don't remember if I saw the Batmobile, but I have pictures. If I find them, I'll cut them in of the pink car driving around. That would be a case where they shut down the street, and that's a stunt person driving. So they can get the shots of the car from outside of the vehicle, but you're not putting the actor in harm's way. You're not doing any kind of distracting, like talking or anything inside the vehicle. It's a stunt person hired to drive the car a certain way to get the shots that they need, and then anything that was shot inside of the car, likely on a green screen in a studio after or before the fact.
Yeah, and that's what I think is interesting, because like this shot that you're like seeing Dundas or Yonge and Dundas area, I'm very certain it is done with green screen.
I think so, yeah.
And so, you're right. They could have put kind of anything.
They could put anything there. Also, I will say maybe it was a blue screen because his suit is green.
True.
Which those are the two most common colors. You get a blue screen if something's predominantly green in the focal point of your shot because it makes keying out the color a lot harder when you have various hues of it in the shot. So sometimes if something's very heavily green, they'll use a blue screen, and if it's opposite, they'll use green screen. Green screen is the most popular, but blue screen is also used sometimes.
Yeah.
So that might have been it, but they do the same thing. You're keying out the color to put in something else.
Yeah. Little fun facts.
Yeah, we're full of them.
The next one is fun. I would love to talk about it.
Yes, I will say quickly before we get into it, the next few examples are submitted by you guys.
Yes.
So shout out to Maeve, our friend's sister, who submitted this one. Also something that we noticed while watching it ourselves. But yeah, we love hearing from you guys. And this one in particular was a very hard topic. We were discussing a little bit before we started recording. This was a hard topic to search for examples of.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to sort of Google what we're looking for. Like, it's hard to put it into words.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, like, we have noticed. We have, like, while watching something. I think one of the biggest ones, actually, I'll just say really quickly now. I was going to talk about it later, but I'll just say it now. Like, I was saying to you kind of prior to filming this, that even things like TTC versus New York City subway, like we can tell the difference because we know the distinct look of them. Like
it's very distinct.
Yeah, TTC has these like fabric red seats. And in New York, it's usually more orange and yellow, like hard plastic.
Yes.
There's no fabric being used in New York.
Which, might I say, we should do here. Because as much as the fabric is like maybe more comfortable than plastic, that's why we have such a bad bug problem.
Oh, God, yeah.
So I would rather the shitty hard plastic that my thighs get stuck to in the summer than dirty ass fabric that is hiding I don't want to know what is in there.
Because you can only clean fabric so much. But like the hard plastic, well, it still scared me a little bit to sit on a New York City subway seat. But at least like they can use harsh chemicals on that to get rid of.
Power wash that.
Yeah. Get rid of God knows what's been on there.
Don't want to know.
So that is like the distinct difference when you're watching. So this is something that like anyone, and if you're listening to this, you can look for yourself. Like when you're watching a show or TV, like a TV show or a movie, if you're seeing a scene that's on a subway and it's meant specifically to be in New York, you can tell right away if it's shot in Toronto on our subway, because if it has those like bright red fabric seats, and they also have the blue for wheelchair accessible.
Yes.
I'm not sure what the wheelchair accessible is for New York.
I'm not sure.
But I know I don't think it's bright red or blue. So you're going to be able to tell the difference between, and it's funny because the thing you'll see with the subway station specifically is our department does go in and try and change it.
I was going to say, we're not knocking the quality of our department. Sometimes it just is like, we don't have time to replace this, so that's how it's going to be. You'll usually see that on lower budget things. The difference, if you're ever curious of the difference of like what a budget can do for something, would be the difference of something like that being practically swapped out versus it staying in there and people noticing like, hey, wait a second, that's not what our seats look like.
With this knowledge, anyone can go and they can now look for that and see the difference as well.
Yes.
So anyway, we'll go back into the regular programming.
Back into our curated by our listeners portion of the episode.
Yeah.
This first example, like I said, is from Maeve for the movie Trap, which was entirely shot in Toronto, I believe. We know a few people that we went to school with that worked on it, so definitely local. Supposed to be set in Chicago, but we see a beer store truck in the background of one of the exterior shots, which beer store is it's a Canadian beer store. They sell beer. Yeah. It's the beer store. We weren't very creative with the naming of it, apparently.
Yeah. I also have a friend who works at the beer store, so yeah, very, very Canadian.
Yep. And on top of that, they shot all the concert stuff at Scotiabank Arena, which is like a big concert venue here in Toronto, and incredibly obvious to anyone who's ever been there in both the interior and exterior shots that that's what that is. Very, very obvious that it's Toronto. Again, I don't know if it's meant to be emulating a real arena in Chicago or if it was just meant to be like, we're telling you this is Chicago, so you're just accepting that. But
yeah, like this is one of the examples that I was like, I wonder if this is just something that we really notice as being, oh yeah, that's Scotiabank. But I wonder if anyone else, like I would love to know if people in Chicago are like, oh no, that's not a Chicago location.
Or like, where the fuck is that supposed to be? I've never been there.
Yeah, they're like playing it off as something we have.
What's the beer store? Can I go?
Yeah, exactly.
What are they still there?
For us, it's like we watch it and we're like, yeah, we recognize it so very clearly. Like it's not even down to like, because in the movie, you know, the dad is running around the whole area where you buy like concessions. And we know that very well because it's like they have everything there. There's all these like food vendors and you can buy alcohol and this and that. And like I distinctly like know that with Scotiabank.
Yes.
I was just watching the trailer for Trap here, and they're walking outside, and very clearly in the background you can see the Rogers Center.
Well, here's the thing. I did not like that movie anyway.
Oh, I'm not saying I liked it either.
I thought that movie was trash.
Look, I love Josh Hartnett. I do. At least he had better hair than he did in The Faculty, and that's maybe the best compliment I can give this movie.
I mean, to be fair, I went into the movie kind of already know. I think you had watched it first and you had told me you're like,
probably
it's not the greatest. Just so you know, I'm like, yeah, I figured.
Yeah, it's M. Night. So, I mean,
yeah.
Again, it's hit or miss. He's had not that many hits in a while. I think maybe Split was his last, like, good movie.
The reason why I watched the film was because I knew it was shot in Toronto and I was so excited to see for something like this. I was like, yeah, I want to see how I can tell that it's very obviously Toronto.
M. Night, I dare you to make it actually Toronto next time.
No.
Like, just what is wrong with having something just set in Toronto?
Shit.
What was wrong with having your shit set in Toronto?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's like is this the big moral of this episode? Is just like, why not Toronto though?
Why not Toronto?
Like, what's the big deal?
What did we do?
Scott Pilgrim did it.
Yeah.
Yes, and that movie is brilliant.
Fucking love Scott Pilgrim, but the original source material was also Toronto. So,
you guys doing anything fun while you're in town?
Fun. In Toronto.
We are seeing a little bit more of Toronto being like a choice as a location for films. It's not happening as much as like New York's always usually the number one, but we are seeing it a bit more. Like even Harrison worked recently on a film that was also like, they're like, yep, this is Toronto. And we want to very much point out that this is Toronto.
That's true.
Great films called Young Werther. A little shout out. But yeah, it's like, I think it's fun to like pick a location like Toronto. Like, I think we can start doing that more now because these locations in Toronto are interesting and we can make Toronto the next New York.
Showcase them for what they are. You know what? That cabbie I talked to over 10 years ago, fuck you.
Fuck you.
Okay, we can be New York, but we'll be our own New York and we'll be better.
Yeah.
And we can just be Toronto. People know what Toronto is. We can just make the location we're filming in actually Toronto.
Yeah.
Be way more cost effective because you don't have to try and hide the fact that you're shooting something in Canada for the US.
Yeah. I'm going to put out a little copyright thing here because I kind of want to write something kind of like the show Girls, but be based in Toronto.
Don't you dare steal that idea.
Yeah.
You heard it here
first. I just said on the podcast, copywritten. So if this ever gets written without my permission, then I'm going to like show the date.
It's going to be called Girls, eh?
Girls, eh? Yes. There it is. So yeah, nobody better write that because I swear I will come at you with this podcast episode and be like, this is the date I said I'm writing this.
We've got time-stamped footage to prove this is the origin of the idea.
Yeah.
Oh shit, the cameras stopped recording.
Ah, fuck you.
Oh, well.
Jack, you're the worst. No, this is my idea. I think it would be great because shows like Sex and the City and Girls, like, part of what the show's about is because it's these people living in New York. But I want a show like that, but with Toronto, because I'm sick of seeing these like shows shooting in Toronto and then playing it off like it's New York. Because listen, Toronto's great. Why don't we say it's Toronto?
Why can't Vought be in Toronto?
Yeah.
I mean, they're so, I guess, American politically inclined that being in Canada wouldn't make sense. Okay, you get a pass.
Yeah, that show gets a pass because I get the understanding behind that.
Yes. This next example comes from, I believe, Katie. I'll say this again. I've said it a couple times before. We will have an episode that is more MCU focused because there's just a lot to cover for those movies. However, the Edward Norton, The Incredible Hulk movie that was shot in Toronto, pretending to be New York, you can see a well-known strip club in a huge fight sequence with the Abomination and the Incredible Hulk, and is distracting because, it's Zanzibar is a Toronto, it's still around. It's like the Toronto strip club. Yeah. In the middle of downtown. And again, not New York. Very much not New York.
Yeah. That neon sign is very indicative of Toronto. Like, it
is so funny to see an NYPD cop car in front of the Zanzibar because it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It's one of those examples as well, though. Like, I'm like, maybe no one else would notice. But again, us living in Toronto, we know.
But you'd know it's not New York is the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, surely, I mean, New York people probably know the New York strip clubs, you know what I mean?
Yeah, very true.
That ain't
very
no New York strip club.
Yeah. Interesting. That's a good one.
It's a quick one, but for those of you who enjoy that movie, the 5 people who enjoy that movie.
Burn. All right. Next example.
Suits.
I guess submitted by a lot of people.
Had a lot of people come to us with this one. Another Katie, a different Katie. My dad, Kaylee. There's lots of telltales across the original instance of the show, the original iteration, like TTC, which we talked about, had a spot, whether or not it's TTC earlier, Beck Taxi, various Canadian businesses, CN Tower makes a couple cameos. Also one that I've definitely noticed in other things, but can't off the top of my head remember what is mailboxes, Canada Post mailboxes.
Yeah.
That's a big one. We've worked at a prop house before where we have seen that you can rent like American post boxes to replace. But a lot of productions don't do that. And they're very distinct because they have certain designs on them, and I know this because my mom used to do some design work for Canada Post.
Yep.
They put designs on them to deter graffiti.
Yeah.
So they're very easily spottable when they're in the background of shots. It's a huge indicator that the location that something's being shot in is it's Canadian. Someone also on Reddit pointed out that Toronto traffic lights are very different than US traffic lights and New York traffic lights. So that's also a big indicator.
Yeah. That's a good example too, because I know even in the example we talked about earlier with Kick-Ass as well, like that shot with Dundas and also with Boys, you see the streetlights in the scenes. And if you're someone who is a New York native, you would go, well, that doesn't look like how our stop signs are. That doesn't look like how our crosswalks are. Like, you're going to notice things like that. And Suits is a big culprit because the whole show is set in like a financial district that's supposed to be that's supposed to be New York.
We have a financial district and they shoot a lot of that here, but doesn't look like New York's financial district.
No.
And those are the big tells that it's not New York. But those are also the little things that people will kind of just hope most people don't notice.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like it's pretty obvious if you live in Toronto or New York. But again, if you live in New York or frequent New York, and be interesting to hear your side of things because Yeah, for us, it's super, super obvious.
Mm-hmm.
We can always tell. But we're also in the industry and know that most things shoot here anyway, even if they're not trying to be New York.
Mm-hmm.
Most things shoot in Canada because it's cheaper.
Yeah. Amelia Perez, guys. This movie.
I've seen clips. That's all I need to see. Happy Pride Month.
Oh, no. They don't claim that film. They're like, no.
No.
That's not,
and
we're not claiming that film. First of all, the lead actress,
Sophia Gascon, has said some problematic things.
Very, very problematic. But yeah, I just think this film, like, had a lot of problematic things. One of them being that, like, it's supposed to be set in Mexico. It's supposed to be the music and everything, and even the language.
Mm-hmm.
Like, unfortunately, the creators were from, it's France, right?
Yep.
They literally didn't have that
background on the culture. And he being the director, didn't bother to look too much into the culture of, I believe this was an adaptation from, I want to say, a book. And I just don't understand the choice of creative team to make this film, because it doesn't sound like they cared. They just cared about making a movie they thought would get award buzz.
Yeah.
And it was just a very clear example of a film being made for, I think, the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And we're obviously talking mostly about the filming locations being in France for Mexico and how it's so abundantly clear that that is not where this was shot. Mm-hmm. But I mean, yeah, you can't really get away with talking about this movie without pointing out all of the other things that are wrong with it.
Other examples, it's like, it makes sense that, okay, they shot in Toronto because the tax credit, they're playing it off as one city to be another city.
Yeah, it's close enough.
Yeah, but this one I just think is a little bit...
it's lazy.
Yeah, lazy. And I also just think, like, what's the word I'm looking for? If you're making a film about Mexico and you're trying very hard to have the culture and the right music and the right, like, if you're trying to be authentic, like, to shoot in somewhere like France, it's just so odd. Disrespectful. That was the word I was looking for.
Yes.
Disrespectful, I feel like.
Shooting Toronto for New York is like, yeah, we can probably get away with it. Shooting France for Mexico for a story that is heavily Mexican and, meant to be highlighting aspects of a culture ends up being more stereotypical and disrespectful with the amount of care that is evident was not put into something as simple as a filming location.
Yeah.
Filming in a studio somewhere like France is very different than shooting on location in France for another city, for another culture, for another country. Doesn't make sense. Weird choice. Weird flex.
Yeah.
Jacques Audiard? Audiard? Shame. Shame on you.
Shame. Where's the thing from Game of Thrones?
Shame.
Seriously. Back on the more fun one.
Mean Girls.
Yeah. This one I just added because it's something that, like, again, all people who lived in Toronto when Sherway Gardens was, it's like when it was really cool.
In its prime. Now it looks like every other mall.
Yeah. Since it's upgrade, you wouldn't be able to know. And if you only know it as it is now, then you probably wouldn't know this in Mean Girls. But we know because we used to go there all the time when we were in college.
I worked there for a hot minute.
Ooh, yeah, yeah. I actually worked kind of near there, too. I was, like, working at the Panera Bread, like, across the street.
Oh, yeah, you
from,
did.
Yeah.
At different times, because I don't think I was working there anymore when you worked at Panera.
Yeah.
I was working at Forever 21.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so we knew Sherway Gardens in its prime. And there's a scene in Mean Girls where they go to the mall and Katie has this, like, did I say Katie? Caddy?
It's Caddy, yeah.
Caddy.
I did what that Janice does. I'm just gonna call you. It's Katie, but she says Caddy. I'm gonna call you, right?
Yeah, because that's how it's spelled.
Cady.
Yeah.
But it's pronounced Katie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Janice says, I'm gonna just call you Caddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was getting mixed up in my own head. But anyway, she like has this like scene play out in her head where she like sees all the teen mall goers are just they suddenly turned into like animals and are making it it's very like watering hole like
she grew up in Africa, so she's comparing it to like the animal you know, groups that she grew up around. So
yeah, and it's just so funny because like that area with the big fountain in the middle and the stairs that go down is just so iconically Sherway Gardens that like we all are like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. Like they filmed it here, and sadly it's not like that anymore.
No, and I will say as a kid, because I grew up in Ottawa, which is close to Toronto, but not like super close. Like it's a trip to come out here from there. Growing up, I didn't know that was Toronto. But after moving here and being at Sherway Gardens for a lot of college, that was like the mall we went to when we didn't want to go downtown. Then I very, very much realized that's where they shot that. So
yeah, you know, it's sad that malls are losing their charm.
Yeah,
like that, like nostalgic look. Like they're all becoming the same now. It's like, oh, it looked so cool. I used to love the way it looked in there. Well, we finally got to our example that you've brought physical media for.
When this boy meets world. I love this show. This show was my childhood. Yeah. I'm very much heavily invested in listening to the Recap podcast. I love Pod Meets World. Jack and I went with some friends to see them when they came to Toronto. We got to meet Danielle, Ryder, and Will, which was super, super cool. They're very nice. They made sure to have a little time to talk with everybody who came to get pictures because we sprung for the VIP. The live podcast show was very, very cool. But the show itself was such like a pivotal thing for me growing up, and
yeah,
it was interesting because I feel like a lot of my friends didn't watch it that I know of. I mean, maybe they did, but we didn't talk about it. But it felt like one of those shows that was like, wow, I hope other people are watching this because this is great. But I had no idea if other people were.
Yeah,
it's like everyone's like, yeah, I love SpongeBob and stuff. I was just like, yeah, but is anyone watching Boy Meets World? Because
oh yeah, I watched it when I was younger. I didn't like. I don't know if I've seen like it all the way full through.
Well, I own all the seasons if you want to. I mean, they're also on Disney Plus, but physical media, guys, the DVDs have the episodes that aren't on Disney Plus. They have the banned episodes. They have Promises, which is the one where Topanga and Corey almost have sex on prom night. They have the one where Sean starts drinking.
So scandalous.
You don't get that on Disney Plus. I'm just saying. I have all the seasons on DVD, but I only brought the first two because they're most relevant to what we're talking about. And also, I didn't want to bring all the seasons. They wouldn't fit on display here.
Yeah.
It was ahead of its time. And to be, in my opinion, they haven't done anything as good since with that juggling of subject matter. But I'm biased because I love the show. But it's also true.
No, it's good.
But in relation to the topic we're discussing today, this is a bit of a different spin on the locations that we've been talking about already, in the sense that, and maybe this will spawn a bigger episode, because I'm sure there's other instances of this with shows and movies where you can sort of see this exact same thing. But if you remember, the show Smart Guy aired around the same time as Boy Meets World. And honestly, until I rewatched Boy Meets World, there were some episodes of Smart Guy in my brain that I thought were Boy Meets World episodes. And I guess it makes sense that these got mixed up in my mind because they shared some sets for the first couple of seasons. And I think they've talked about it a little bit on the Pod Meets World, but it was common sometimes for pilots or early episodes of shows that were forming to film on existing sets because it was cheaper. And a lot of them were going to probably, if they got picked up, be filmed in the same studios anyway. So it was an easy way for shows to get some kind of something filmed with established, you know, a kitchen or a school hallway or something. And so for very early episodes of Smart Guy, And paralleled with the earlier seasons of Boy Meets World, they shared a kitchen set and they shared a high school hallway set to the point where they'd use even some of the same props, like the garbage can is the same in the school hallway, except they've put different school stickers on it. But like the lockers are painted the same. It says obviously John Adams when it's Boy Meets World, says Piedmont when it's Smart Guy, but like it's interesting. It's a different kind of noticing the surroundings on a show because it's not really location based. It's like the set that was available for them to film on.
Yeah.
But because now we're in a day and age where we can like binge watch shows and rewatch shows so easily, people probably didn't notice that when the show originally aired.
No. Yeah. No. I think what was funny for me was because I think like layout wise like is forgiving in sitcoms because I mean in a sitcom it's a lot of the sets can kind of feel similar in terms of layout because it's like there's only so much you can do with like the way they set up the cameras, and so they usually just have a very open kind of type of room, and like layout is usually similar.
And a lot of the time they're filming in front of like a studio audience that are behind the cameras.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to stage it like a play in the sense that the camera's acting as the audience, whereas there's an actual audience behind them that also is acting as an audience. So you have to stage it and block it and film it in a way that makes sense for that setup as well.
Yeah. So it's funny because like you can say it's forgiving of like, oh yeah, like layout wise they seem similar. But I think what caught me was like that they even had the same wallpaper in that kitchen. Like they just didn't even bother changing a detail like that. Nope. They're like, well, I'll just leave everything the same.
Exactly. They changed like what? The chairs. Yeah. There's no island. They point out in the Boy Meets World podcast that like the layout of the house doesn't make any fucking sense, but it makes sense for I mean, there's the whole like front yard, side yard for Feeney's house argument of like, why is his garden that seems like the front of his house at the back of the Matthews, like why does it border their backyard?
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing. But in terms of like what you see on both the sets for Boy Meets World and Smart Guy is there's a staircase coming out of the kitchen, but there's also a staircase that comes down into the living room. But there's also, you can go from the kitchen to the living room. So, and it's because they needed multiple ways for the actors to come and go out of frame. So if you parallel the kitchen with the living room, and in Boy Meets World, there's the 2 doors to the back and front of the house. And then there's the room, so the kitchen or the living room. And then you can pass into both those rooms through a door and you can go upstairs. So there's 3 exit points to each set piece. And they sort of, obviously, because they're using the same set, did the same thing with Smart Guy, because that just kind of works in a sitcom layout. You have multiple ways for a character to get out of a scene.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's interesting. I just love Boy Meets World. Yeah, I'm definitely going to rewatch Smart Guy now.
But, like, again, like, stuff like that was so interesting because I feel like that time period, there was a lot of, like, PSAs and messages getting out to children through TV shows like this.
Exactly.
That they don't do anymore now.
No.
Like, you don't see...
They don't do very special episodes of kids shows. If they do, it's something, like, super tame, like, I don't know, you cheated on me or something, or, like, I don't know. I watched Girl Meets World, but I can't say that, and I'm just, like, that's the one that comes to mind to parallel with this because it's a spinoff. They definitely didn't really touch on as heavy a subject matter as they did with this show.
Yeah.
Or some other shows, like I said, like Smart Guy in the 90s. It was just a different time for kids shows. And obviously, like, the show grew as the audience grew up. But still, like... Some of the younger years episodes are some of the, like, crazier storylines. Yeah. So the OG is where it's at.
Yeah.
I would have worn my Boy Meets World shirt for this, but it wasn't a prominent part of this episode, and I just bought the shirt, and I like it, so I wanted to wear it.
Yes, I like it, too. We're at that part of the pod now.
Where we go back and rate what we talked about on a scale of 1 to 3. Of QC levels of offense. Level 1 being, it's fine. It's noticed, but it's not really a problem. Level 2 being, you really should have changed that, but you didn't. And level 3 is, wow, that slipped through. That should not be there, and I'm too distracted to notice anything else that's going on.
Yep. So we got to start with our favorite. The boys. I feel like these are going to be hard to rate only because I feel like for us, we notice them a lot because we know Toronto so well.
Yes.
It's hard for me to say whether it would be important enough to rate it high for other people because I'm not sure how you would because it's like obviously we notice it. So it's a noticeable thing of these locations that are very clearly Toronto.
I give the Times Square, Yonge and Dundas transition a 3 though. I do.
Yeah.
Because you live in Toronto, you know that's Yonge and Dundas. You live in New York, you know that's,
not
Times Square. So I think because it's the point of the transition shot is to be like, look, we're in New York.
Yeah.
And because they transition so clearly Toronto to New York, back to Toronto, it's so painfully obvious that those are two different locations.
Yeah.
And I think New York is such a big city that even if you don't live in Toronto or New York, you'll probably be a little bit like, something's weird about this, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And if not, then you don't notice stuff like that, and that's totally fine. But I think those are two major cities that you're now literally blending together in one camera shot, and I think it's pretty obvious that that's not where they were filming.
Yeah. Yeah, let's give it a 3. Because I will say, I do think when I looked up this topic, it was one of the number one, even just from anyone on the internet pointing it out. So I think, even people like us were the only ones who were noticing this. I think just, average viewer was really seeing
was noticing
that's clearly not New York.
That's not Times Square.
So yeah, I agree with you. I think specifically that shot in episode 1 is a 3.
And I think the Henderson ad being reworked to be A-Train sponsored by Henderson and the Vought Tower Roy Thompson Hall thing, I think those are just ones. Those are just fun tidbits.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. If you don't, it makes no difference to your viewing experience.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, basically polar opposite examples. A level 3 and a level 1.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you on that for sure. We recognize it, but I think it was a creative way of creating a new building.
Yeah, because it's not something that exists. It's not trying to be an existing structure in New York.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I think it's a 1. It's something we notice. It's fun to know.
Yeah.
But it doesn't affect anyone's viewing of the show.
Exactly. And Henderson sponsoring A-Train is amazing. I love it.
Yeah. Kick-Ass. I think
it's a 3 because they should have replaced the King West
Yeah,
shot.
definitely that one.
And they could have filmed B-roll to key into the blue screen that wasn't Toronto. They very easily could have fixed both of those things, and I think they just were hoping people wouldn't notice.
That's true. I can't believe they didn't even try and put something over that.
No. Graffiti, a mural, cover it up, just paint it out, something.
Yeah.
It's such an easy shot to fix and post. Maybe they just again, probably budget and time.
I think for Trap, I think the beer store thing definitely should have been fixed.
Yes.
I think that's something you can easily
get rid of.
Yeah, cover up with something. Blur
Paint
it out, whatever.
Blur it,
Yeah.
Put
they could have got rid of
US
that.
store, put an ad for guns or something.
Yeah. And then in terms of us just recognizing the venue, that's just a fun.
That's more of a fun
it's
thing.
Just a fun thing.
Yeah.
The Incredible Hulk, I think
That's up there with Yonge and Dundas and Times Square for me. Yeah, at Zanzibar, if you live in... again, it's hard to say because we both live in Toronto, but I feel like, again, if you live in New York and you know it's set in New York, that's not New York.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know it's Toronto, you probably... Unless, I guess you could assume maybe Zanzibar is just a building in the world of the non-MCU.
I know, I'm could you just think, did they just, make the strip club name? I feel like it can be forgiving in that sense. I feel like only people in Toronto know this place.
Yeah.
It's different than, seeing as you said, like a very distinct store that's like Canadian, like, or like the beer store, then it's like, well, yeah, like everyone's like, well, we know we don't have the beer store in America. Then it's like, it makes sense. But like just some strip club, like anyone can make any name for a strip club. So I'm like, I feel like I could forgive this one a little bit because it's like, I don't think anyone else would even notice, just us.
That's true. Yeah, maybe I put it as a 2 because if you know Toronto, you know where that is. Yeah. But if you know New York, maybe you think it's just something that's in the universe of the movie. Yeah. You don't necessarily know it's specific to where they filmed it. Yeah,
it's like the prop department came up with some name or whatever. Like you could kind of forgive that a little bit.
Yeah, but people who live here know it's not.
Yeah. Suits, there's a lot of examples there, so I'm kind of like...
It's a good example of a show that's riddled with evidence of where it's filmed versus... It's like The Boys in that way. Like, there's little things you're going to pick up on, but maybe there aren't any, like... And if there are, please let us know if there's any episodes or scenes in Suits where it's, like, egregiously obvious it's not LA.
Yeah, I think Suits New York, doesn't even really try that hard. I think they just kind of don't care. They're just like, as long as it's city, like they just, they kind of...
Big city for big city.
Yeah.
I feel like...
trying as hard, I think, as like some other...
I'm going to give it a 2, though, because I feel like it's so many little examples that it just feels like they're not...
They don't care.
They don't really care.
Yeah.
So...
I agree.
Again, like, you're going to notice, like, the traffic lights is such a big one, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true.
That, again, can be pointed out in most shows that are shot in Canada for U.S. They're going to be different. Because things like cars and license plates are very easy to swap out for things. But, you can't really switch up traffic lights. That's a whole, like, compositing job for post.
You can rent people don't traffic lights. I remember...
Yes.
I remember I used to go to, like, the prop houses and stuff when I worked on set. You can, like, rent... They're crazy. Like, they're huge.
I know. Well, my stepdad and my mom have, like, a Canadian, like, stoplight in their basement on the wall. It's huge.
Yeah.
But I feel like those are more for, you know, stuff like the It movies that filmed in, like, Port Hope and stuff. Like, small towns where you can shut down... a street and replace the street lights for like a day to shoot something.
Exactly.
They're not doing that at Young and Dundas or busy Toronto. Our traffic sucks as already without stuff being shut down for film.
Exactly.
For that extensive of like set work. They would probably just comp it and post or leave it, which is how it bleeds through in shows like Suits and The Boys. But it's definitely that's like, again, it's a thing where you can tell like the size of a budget. Like, did they have the budget to really go in and replace that stuff? Or did they just like, you know, they just shoot a bunch of seasons of this show and hope no one notices the Canada Post mailbox?
Yeah. I'm just going to say Amelia Perez gets a 3.
It does. No notes. No notes.
They just deserve a 3, I feel like.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's quick, done. Easy, 1 and done.
Move right on.
3 and done. Level 3 and done.
Mean Girls, again, it's a 1. It's just fun.
Yeah, it's just a fun tidbit. If you know them all, you know it's Toronto. If not, it does really just kind of look like generic North American mall. Not even like generic Canada or US, just generic North American mall.
Yeah.
Which is probably, you know, that's obviously what they were going for. So, because I forget, is where is Mean Girls set?
It takes place in Chicago, apparently.
Chicago, okay.
Illinois.
Yes.
So, yes.
Yeah, I mean, but there's nothing in the movie, I feel like, that I can recall that is like, this is Chicago. So it's very much just like general US.
Yeah.
Which that works for.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they just got that like high school, like, which is very classic. I feel like there's not like, pretty good with that, I would say.
Yeah.
1.
Yeah.
And then Boy Meets World, I feel like they probably could have put in a little more work to differentiate their homes.
Removing an island and just pushing the kitchen table in a little bit more doesn't really make it too much of an entirely different kitchen.
I think like what's funny is like how we just talked about Mean Girls and the high school being, high schools are all kind of look the same. I feel like I can forgive like the high school.
Yeah, American high schools all kind of look the same.
Yeah, like whatever.
Even when they are the same.
Yeah, literally the same.
Piedmont and John Adams High being the same.
Yeah.
Sure, I buy it.
I think it's
same garbage cans are a little sus, but
for me it's just the house that's the more noticeable. Literally the exact same cupboards, exact same wallpaper, and like they didn't. Which wallpaper is one of the easiest ways to change a set.
It is,
and make it look completely different. So it's interesting that they just said,
especially because the way the kitchen is laid out, like there's not actually a lot of wall space. Like it's very little of the set to have to redress. I guess maybe it's a little more of a pain in the ass just because it's going around so many cupboards and stuff. But a very small portion of that set is wall.
Yeah.
So they probably could have done something. And even as a kid, it sort of bumped me a little bit. If they didn't say the names of their schools so much in the show, like Boy Meets World says John Adams a lot, and Smart Guy says Piedmont a lot, if they didn't do that, I'd be like, wait, are these in like the same universe? Because they're going to the same school. Yeah. Like this is the same school.
Yeah.
But it is a good instance where set decoration can make a difference of like, for the most part it looks the same, but they've at least put in the effort to like, where one school says John Adams on the wall, the other one says Piedmont. So at least they've done that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it is the same set.
Yeah.
So. Fun little 90s sitcom tidbit, I guess.
Yeah.
There's definitely other shows that do that.
I know. I feel like I want to go and like look more into this now because I'm almost certain like Disney shows and stuff do this a lot, right?
100%.
You know, they often have similar things where it's like these kids are going to school and like you're not going to have a million school sets.
No.
You're just going to have a couple that they're going to redress or maybe not redress to like, to use them again.
Well, and I will say too, just as a closing thing about Boy Meets World specifically, is even that show would I don't know if you remember Chubby's, which was like the restaurant they'd always go to, which they like to joke on the recap podcast is like the only restaurant apparently in the city because like they always go there. That set got redressed multiple times as different restaurants, but you could always tell it was Chubby's. Sean and Mr. Turner's apartment was redressed to be like the same apartment that Eric and Jack and Sean move into later, but it's not the same apartment, but like it's very clearly the same set. They've just reused it and redressed it a bit. So even within the same show, they'll repurpose existing sets. Because there's only so much space they can film in and so much money that they can, spend on building new sets when they don't have to. So it's very much cheaper to go in and just redress an existing set or move some of the structure of it around to look different enough. But again, nowadays when you can binge and rewatch shows in batches, like episodes aired out of order for this originally, and there were gaps between seasons, writer strikes, all this stuff. People weren't noticing that stuff. Now it's super obvious.
Yeah.
But with a show like this, it's just fun.
I know. It's the charm of sitcoms too. Like, I kind of love it for that.
Yeah, it's certain, like, it adds to the nostalgia of it too, because it just makes a lot of stuff from that time feel very much of that time in a good way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess that's it for today. I mean, we can maybe do the ADR one next since we kind of hinted at it.
I would like to.
There's a movie that we specifically have to watch for that episode. So if we can get together and watch that, then maybe that might be the next episode.
Yeah. And if we can't get together and watch it, maybe we can at least both watch it separately and in preparation, because I know we say a lot, I haven't actually seen this one, I have actually seen this one. This is homework that we have to complete either on our own or together because it's essential viewing for the episode. Now we do have to do this one next. I feel like it has to happen.
We should.
I've been dying to do it, and you'll get more Jack commentary because it's all ADR sound based and centered around this one movie. So we kind of can't just be like, oh, I don't know, I've never seen it. But if we ever do merch, we'll have something that says, I don't know, I've never seen it.
It's going to sound so bad. That's not the promotion we want. All right. Well, thank you for listening
and watching. Yes.
Until next time.
You can find us on Instagram and TikTok, and we're building up on YouTube. We're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Substack and probably some other places, but that's where we upload to.
Bye!
Bye! Quality Control Chicks podcast is produced and co-hosted by Lisa Cumming
and Janae Perez.
Audio mix and master by Jack Rudy.
You can follow us on Instagram at Quality Control Chicks Pod for BTS, bonus content, and clips.
You can give us a watch or listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere you listen to your favorite shows.